Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the life of a true icon, a trailblazer who redefined beauty standards and then, at the height of her fame, just walked away. We're talking about Yasmeen Ghauri. Imagine being disowned by your parents for chasing your dreams. Imagine being bullied so badly as a kid that you stopped taking photos altogether because you were convinced you were ugly. Now imagine transforming into one of the most recognizable and sought-after supermodels of all time. Sounds like a movie, right?
His Majesty, only Paolo can take this and give you
a princess.
Well, this is the real-life story of Yasmeen Ghauri, the first South Asian supermodel, a fashion phenomenon, and a woman who valued herself more than fame. This isn't just another rags to riches story. It's about a woman who broke down barriers, shattered stereotypes, fiercely guarded her privacy, and made some seriously tough decisions. This is a story of legendary status. There's so much more to her than meets the eye, trust me. Some called her a diva, others a perfectionist. But beneath the surface of her groundbreaking career and deeply private life lies a complex, fascinating woman. Let's rewind to the beginning. Yasmeen Ghauri was born on March 23, 1971, in Montreal, Canada. Her mother was German and her father was Pakistani, born in India. But get this, her father wasn't just anyone. He was an imam, a respected leader in the Muslim community. Talk about a diverse background. Growing up in a strict religious household, Yasmeen's life revolved around modesty, humility, and discipline. But her childhood wasn't always easy. She was the only brown-skinned girl in a predominantly white school. Can you imagine what that must have been like? She faced relentless bullying for her heritage. Yasmeen herself once said that the fact that her father was Indian had a huge influence on her life because she wasn't like the other kids.
The fact that my father was Indian, had an influence on my life because I wasn't like the other kids. Most of the kids in my school were white. And, I had brown skin, so that was, they always used to point that out, and I was kind of like, a loner.
They pointed it out, made her feel like an outsider. She even described herself as a loner. Kids would call her names, cruel names like chocolate cake face. Can you believe it? Hideous things, she said. Skinny gawky? All these things that contributed to my growing up and who I am.
People used to call me, chocolate cake face and, kind of hideous things. And the usual model problems, skinny, gawky, kind of ugly. So those were things that contributed to my growing up and who I am now.
By the time she was just 12 years old, Yasmeen's self-esteem was so low that she stopped taking photos altogether. She hated having her picture taken. She said by the time she was 12 or 13, there were no more pictures of her in the family album. Even now, she jokes that when she goes home, she tells her mom, "No, you can't take any pictures of me. If you want pictures, get them from the magazine."
When I was younger, I hated having my picture taken. I think probably by the time I turned 12 or 13, there's no more pictures of me in the family album. I hated having my picture taken. And still to this day, when I go home, I tell my mom, "No, you can't have any pictures. If you want pictures, get in the magazine."
It's almost unbelievable, right? Imagine a future supermodel hiding from cameras because she thought she wasn't beautiful. The irony is painful. This girl who grew up thinking she was ugly would go on to redefine beauty standards in the fashion world, grace the covers of Vogue and Elle, Life's funny like that, isn't it? But things started to shift when Yasmeen was 17. She was working at McDonald's. Yeah, McDonald's. When a Montreal hairdresser named Edward Zacharias spotted her, he saw something that no one else around her had noticed, her potential. He told her she should model. And you know what Yasmeen's first reaction was? She thought it was a joke. You're not joking with me, right? Like you're 100% serious? Because it's not funny.
You're not joking with me like you're 100% serious because it's not funny.
Spoiler alert, Edward wasn't joking. Yasmeen got signed to a modeling agency, and things began to change, but not overnight. In the beginning, she struggled to book jobs. She even said that being ethnic made it harder. When she started in Montreal, she didn't really work. She had like 6 bookings, I think, in the time that I spent in Canada because nobody understood my look. It was too ethnic.
Being ethnic, like when I started in Montreal, I didn't really work. No one, I had like 6 bookings, I think, in the time that I spent in Canada because nobody understood my look. It was too ethnic.
But then everything changed when she moved to New York in 1990. The fashion world finally woke up. Designers like Karl Lagerfeld, Valentino, and Gianni Versace realized just how special she was. Gianni Versace was quoted saying, "She's very young, she has lots of life, and she has this beauty that is really unbelievable. So she invented a way to walk lots of girls try to imitate, but it's not easy because nobody has the legs and the body to do it, and there's something in her way to walk, but became a new style of walking on Runway."
Very young, she has lots of life, and she has this beauty that is really unbelievable.
So she invented a way to walk. Lots of girls try to imitate, but it's not easy because nobody has the legs and the body to do it. And there's something in her way to walk, but became a new style of walking on Runway.
Her walk wasn't just a strut, it was an event. The New York Times described it as a ball bearing on her hips. Watching her glide down the runway was like watching poetry in motion. People were obsessed with her physique. And let's be honest, she had an amazing body. I mean, who doesn't want to have a body like that? Yasmeen's unique beauty and commanding presence made her the face of Chanel, Dior, Versace, and Victoria's Secret. She dominated the high fashion world like no other South Asian woman ever had. But here's the kicker. Yasmeen hated the term supermodel. She once said, "I've always hated the word supermodel, and I prefer not to describe myself. I prefer other people to describe me in whatever terms they'd like, but I don't like to categorize myself."
I've always hated the word supermodel, and I prefer not to describe myself. I prefer other people to describe me in whatever terms they'd like, but I don't like to categorize myself.
Now let's address the elephant in the room, the diva reputation. Some called her a diva, others a perfectionist. She didn't just walk into a job and say yes to everything. She picked her shows, her clothes, and even did her own makeup. She said, "In general, I'm pretty misunderstood, and I don't fault anyone for that because I do come across pretty stern, and that's just the way I am. I can't change that. That's the way my face is. And I'm a pretty determined person. So I think that's where my reputation comes from."
In general, I'm pretty misunderstood, and I don't fault anyone for that because I do come across pretty stern. And that's just the way I am. My mom used to say that when I was little. I can't change that. That's the way my face is, and I'm a pretty determined person. So I think that's where my reputation comes from, and I can't change that.
She knew what she wanted, and she had very strong opinions. She was direct, which some people might not always agree with. But she always said, "It's important because it's my face, and after a while, I feel like I own it again."
It's important because it's my face, and after a while, I feel like I own it again.
Yasmeen wasn't afraid to take control. She didn't let makeup artists touch her face. Nope, she did her own makeup. Tyra Banks even said she got her best makeup tips from Yasmeen. There was a model by the name of Yasmeen Ghauri who said that Yasmeen had the walk of life. When she would walk, it was almost like her hips would dislocate. It was just this weird thing. And then, later, she was a Victoria's Secret model, and Yasmeen would not let any makeup artist touch her face. She beat her own face and was amazing, like the greatest ever. She knew how to find the light no matter what fashion show we were at. We could have been in some dungeon, some alley, some back thing, or at the Louvre in Paris doing fashion shows. She found the light, and if the light were overhead, and only up there, this is Yasmeen doing her face. And that is not an exaggeration. I saw her do it many times. She's a boss. One of the main reasons Yasmeen did her own makeup was because many makeup artists at the time didn't know how to do makeup for women of color. On top of that, finding foundation shades that matched her skin tone was nearly impossible in the 90s. She probably had to mix different foundations herself to create the perfect match instead of relying on others. Yasmeen took matters into her own hands, mastering her makeup skills and making sure she always looked flawless. But that determination didn't sit well with everyone. Now let's talk about the private life. Here's the thing, Yasmeen hated fame. She once said, "I never put on makeup when I go out. I don't really like to dress up, extravagantly, because I don't want people to look at me. And in fact, I'd rather dress really ugly. It makes me feel really good."
I never put on makeup when I go out. I don't really like to dress up, extravagantly because I don't want people to look at me. And in fact, I'd rather dress really ugly. It makes me feel really good.
She was all about comfort and privacy. I mean, listen to this. "I like to go home, put on jeans, and look like crap. I love stuffed animals. I have a collection of them. I like to collect things. This one, I watch TV, and when there's no one else around, I kind of just sit inside of it and hug him, and I watch TV with him."
I like to go home, put on jeans, and look like crap. I love stuffed animals. I have a collection of them. I like to collect things. This one I watch TV in when there's no one else around. I kind of just sit inside of him and like hug him, and I watch TV with him.
Can you imagine being so stunning that you're one of the highest paid models in the world, but you're also like, nah, I'd rather stay home with my stuffed animals? Even after joining Instagram in 2022, after over 20 years of public hiatus, she mostly posts old modeling photos. She shared exactly one recent picture of her, and it was in 2012. We're all thinking, girl, give us more. But Yasmeen has always been about controlling her own image and maintaining her privacy. Unlike many supermodels of her time, Yasmeen avoided scandals, parties, and the whole celebrity lifestyle. She rarely gave interviews and fiercely guarded her personal life. Honestly, I respect it. She basically said, if you want my face, buy a magazine. Even her family life is a mystery. She's been married to lawyer Ralph Bernstein for decades, and they have 2 children, but good luck finding any photos of them. Yasmeen has mastered the art of disappearing, and that brings us to 1997. At just 27 years old, Yasmeen Ghauri walked away from modeling at the peak of her career. Victoria's Secret fashion show, Chanel, Versace, you name it, she had it all. But she chose family over fame. She said, I'm hopefully towards the end of my career, and I say hopefully because I want to get on with my life and, have children and do other things and experience life. I went from school to work, so I never actually had the opportunity to discover myself, to find out what interests me and what it is that I want to do. So I'm very much looking forward to doing that, to discovering who I am.
I'm hopefully towards the end of my career, and I say hopefully because I want to get on with my life and have children and do other things and experience life. I went from school to work, so I never actually had the opportunity to discover myself, to find out what interests me and what it is that I want to do. So I'm very much looking forward to doing that, to discovering who I am.
Her decision shocked the fashion world, but for Yasmeen, it was simple. She didn't want to lose herself in an industry that demanded so much. She wanted to experience other aspects of life. Let's be honest, we all wanted to see more of Yasmeen, her beauty, her grace, her one-of-a-kind walk. But stepping away was undoubtedly the right decision. The fashion world is far from the glamorous image it projects. We're now seeing stories come to light about the dark underbelly of the industry, the exploitative practices, the toxic environments, and the pressure to conform. Look at the recent scandals involving P. Diddy and how even icons like Naomi Campbell have been connected to these chaotic narratives. It's a reminder of just how much goes on behind the scenes. And Yasmeen walking away to protect her peace and values? That was a move of pure self-respect. She didn't let the industry consume her, and that's exactly why her legacy remains untarnished. So, what are the key takeaways from Yasmeen Ghauri's story? She wasn't just a supermodel, she was a trailblazer, the first South Asian woman to dominate high fashion. She shattered stereotypes and proved that beauty comes in all forms. But what makes her truly iconic is her ability to stay true to herself. She never let fame define her. She said, I hope to stay exactly the same because I see a lot of that. And I don't want to be sucked in by the business. I want to be exactly who I am, and hopefully I still am. But yeah, I don't want to change, success. It doesn't have to change your personality. That's greed. So hopefully I'll stay the way. So, do you think leaving at the height of her career was the ultimate power move? Or do you wish we got to see more of her? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Until next time.